Welcome to Transforming and Thriving
with best friends Brooke, Stacie, and Nelia.
Podcast dedicated to women sharing their inspirational stories. Hey everyone, we're so excited to give back to our community. We're partnering with the Wellness and Prevention Center in South Orange County, an incredible group supporting youth and families with mental health services. They've just opened an Alcove Center in San Juan Capistrano, California, which is a safe space where young people between 12 to 25 years old can find support for their mental health, connect with peers, and get guidance with school or work. Here's how you can help. We'll be matching up to $1,000 in donations from our listeners. Every dollar goes directly to creating brighter futures for local youth. Check out the link in our show notes to donate. Follow WPCOC on Instagram and learn more at alcove.org. That's ALLCOVE.org. Together, we can make a real difference.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We're really excited to be here today. I'm Brooke.
And I'm Stacie, and I'm thrilled and honored that we have a repeat guest back by popular demand. Today, we have the pleasure of interviewing Tawnya Vickery again, who is also a dear friend of mine and an inspiration. Tawnya was one of our first OG guests on episode number 4, Feeling Lost and Alone in a World That Was Lost, the interview with Tawnya Vickery on divorce at 50 during COVID. A little about her background. Tawnya is a certified Pilates instructor based in Irvine, California, with a gift for helping people reconnect with and feel powerful in their own bodies. With a dynamic career spanning commercial lending, auto finance, ophthalmology clinic management, and franchise dealership sales, she brings a rare blend of business savvy and soulful connection to everything she does. Over the past year, Tanya's own journey has led her down exciting new paths, including launching her successful podcast, Rebel 50, and expanding her work as a mentor and coach for women in their 50s and beyond who are entering or re-entering the dating world. Known for her captivating presence, her sharp wit, and her ability to inspire confidence at any age, she truly embodies her belief that beauty, strength, and authenticity only deepen over time. When she's not transforming lives in the Pilates studio, she's sparking conversations about living unapologetically, embracing sensuality, and rewriting the rules of aging.
Thank you so much for being here again, Tawnya. How are you doing today?
I'm having a great day and I'm thrilled to be here. So excited. So thank you for having me a second time.
Oh my goodness. Yes, we've been keeping an eye on all that you've been doing. So we're so excited to have you back. Last time you talked a bit about your story, and today we really want to dive deeper into your journey of self-discovery. You've always had so much wisdom and life stories. You're such a fun person to be around as well. So
thank you.
Can you share a little bit about how you focused on finding yourself and how Pilates became a big part of that process?
For me, Pilates, when I discovered it, which was now, somebody asked me today, actually, it was about 25 years ago, is when I was doing commercial lending in the auto finance world. It was a very high stressful, non-stop job career that I needed a place to get some physical workout in, but also become mentally uninterrupted for an hour. And I had tried a bunch of different things. Keep in mind, 25 years ago is a long time. That when somebody had mentioned a thing called Pilates, which I'd never heard of before, and I was paying $130 an hour to have somebody work with me once a week. So the commitment level back then, when I hear people complaining now about $30 an hour, I crack up laughing. That it transformed me at the space and time I was at, because it was the only physical thing I had ever done that if you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you can't do it. It's impossible to execute Pilates correctly if you're not I'm going to say emotionally in it. You cannot start thinking about other things. So for me, the transformation into the Pilates world began 25 years ago, but it was for me personally. Then when, life kind of hit me a little bit hard later in my life, one of my teachers, who's still a very good friend of mine, said, "Why don't you become a Pilates instructor?" So I did, and was a little surprised at how much I loved teaching it as well as taking it. So I kind of got a twofer. During my transformation, I think we spoke about it on my first interview with you. It's what I leaned into during COVID and my divorce. It's what I lean into every time I have something that's going on in my life that's challenging me. The first thing I do is start taking more Pilates classes because it's the only thing that I've ever found that forces me to look inside at what I'm doing, what my productivity is, who my friends are, who am I leaning on, who should I not be leaning on? And there's all of those components for me that I get through Pilates that I definitely see as being a part of Pilates. I hope I answered you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That would be my answer. It's changed every facet because it forces you for me to look at everything. It's not just exercise for me, I should say. So
Well, and that's exactly what I heard from you right now is that you're not just talking about the physical side, but the emotional, spiritual, mental side of things that maybe not everybody is familiar with.
I like that even in a short moment that you understood it a little bit different than just a form of exercise. I think that's important for anybody listening as well.
Well, and it's interesting because you spoke to how it's been something that you've turned to or come back to, and it's helped you in so many ways, not just the physicality, but it can help you come back to yourself and it can be transformative. And I know it's been so many years now. I know I trained with you many years ago, which is so cool. And you've now worked with so many clients over the years. What are some of the most memorable transformations you've seen in your clients, women and men?
I'm gonna make them as short as I can. There are two people in particular that come to mind. One was somebody I worked with very, very early on. When she came to me, she was very broken. She did not like herself. I don't know her personal story or the trauma that maybe she lived through, but when she came to me, she was very, very broken. She was probably in her early 60s. We worked She came to my classes probably 3 times a week, maybe twice every once in a while, and I observed this kind of blooming of a flower that the more she was able to execute movements correctly, the more invested she was in coming back. But you could also see this woman, the first time she walked in, she came in just a very broken human is the only way I can explain it. A little bit on the overweight side, but by no means, in my opinion, does weight have anything to do with Pilates. But for her, you could tell that was a very, very bad thing for her. She could feel that. So I worked with her for about 3 years. Over the course of 3 years, she probably lost about 30 pounds, which is 10 pounds a year. Very, very doable and reasonable, right? One day, class was over. She happened to be the last class that I was teaching for the day. And I went up front while everybody's cleaning their equipment at reformers off. And a man walked in the front door and he said, "Are you Tawnya?" And I said, "Yes." And he introduced himself and he said, "I'm so and so's husband." And I said, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you. I've enjoyed working with your wife." And he literally grabbed my hand, pulled me toward him, gave me a hug with tears in his eyes. And he said, "Thank you. Thank you for helping my wife find her beauty. I've
Wow.
never seen her this happy, and I've never seen her be excited about anything in a really long time." And I don't think anybody can, I mean, I want to tear up and cry right now, but for a husband to come in and say that, it just the impact that you can have on a person for 1 hour at a time, but exposing what they can do, right? Not exposing what the problems or the trauma are, but if you look past that, that you can find that. That would probably be one of my pinnacle moments for those things to happen. Another one is I have a client who still comes to me. She's been coming to me for about 4 years. This is recent. She was in a wheelchair for 2 years. And as soon as she was able to walk with a cane, she started coming to my classes. She's now lost probably 20 pounds. She has full mobility, and she's now taking 2 classes in a row of mine. If you saw this girl when she walked in first, it was like a dark cloud with thunderstorms and rain. And this girl now walks into class with her head high. She's made friends in the classroom. She's talking. She's a part of a community now. And when she came in for those first months, you could tell that it was painstaking for her to be there. And now this is what she looks forward to every day.
It's incredible how, these are perfect examples of how movement can really impact not just the body, but confidence and overall
Absolutely.
well-being.
Yeah, right. And have you ever found those two stories, and I could go on, but those are two examples. They made some weird decision along their journey, and I am going to say in Pilates, to not lean into whatever trauma that was holding them down, whether it was how they felt about themselves, that self-worth or confidence, or maybe something greater happened and they decided to not lean into that trauma, but they decided to lean into their bodies and the movement, right? Like there's this thing that happens. It's incredible.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that because I'm wondering if there's a common theme that you've observed. Have you
Oh,
noticed a common theme with how people are changing with Pilates once they do tap into that, or allow themselves to tap into a deeper level of Pilates that you're kind of describing?
yes. For me as an instructor, instructing for 10 years now is about what I'm at. I would say that the thing that changes people's bodies, and I don't necessarily mean the physicality, it can be strength from within, how they hold themselves, their posture, all of those physicalities, right? Just how they see or reflect in the mirror upon themselves, like whatever that is, there is a moment that you realize, and there was a woman that said this on the internet recently. I don't know who she was. She might have been a Joseph Pilates descendant, but she was talking about how Pilates isn't just a form of exercise. I've known this for a long time. I just never knew how to verbalize it. Pilates is so much greater than going into a gym if you allow it to be. If you're just looking to get on a reformer and jump around and do crazy stuff, that is there. You'll never be great at it if you don't internalize it and do the movement with your eyes wide open, but the only thing you're feeling or tapped into is your body, the emotion of what you're doing, the movements. I say things in my classes all the time. If it doesn't look pretty, it's probably not Pilates. If it looks very aerobics or weightlifting, you're not doing Pilates, you're just moving a machine around. But if it looks beautiful and you can gain strength with grace while you're doing it, that means in that moment you transformed and you were no longer leaning in to the worst parts of you, but you were leaning into the best parts of you. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah. I just had a thought based on what you're sharing and how you're speaking about Pilates and the deeper meanings and what Pilates really is. I know you and I met during Pilates teacher training and we, eat and breathe and speak and live Pilates. But for listeners who might not be as familiar, could you maybe, in your own words, explain what Pilates is to you and kind of like what it focuses on? Maybe touching on some of the benefits, not just on the body, like what you're speaking to more also on the mind and the soul. I know it's kind of a big question.
No, I would say when somebody asks me what Pilates is, not only for me, but how I teach it, the way I teach Pilates is that the fundamentals came from Joseph Pilates. Everything we do in a Pilates room, as well as everything we do outside of the Pilates world, from a physicality standpoint, comes from your core. Your core is your abdominal region, your obliques would be included in that, but your abs, your six pack, your 12 pack, we all know what that is. Every movement that we conduct comes from that core. When I'm teaching Pilates, I'm trying to get people to understand that they control that with their brain. But if their brain is congested, or stuffed with negativity, either about their body or their life, they can't ever tap into that. It won't let them. They're too busy thinking about all those other things. Once they filter and they're present, they're not thinking about anything else, but they're thinking about the workings of their body, their core. Then all of their extremities start to move, but with the strength of their core. But if somebody doesn't know what they're doing, or they're not in that present moment or not prepared for it, then they're going to break one of those limbs, right? They weren't prepared for it. I think if people are walking around carrying their trauma, and that's the first thing that they use to make a movement, they're never going to go anywhere or achieve greatness because that trauma won't let them. So when I'm teaching Pilates, I'm reading the room and I'm looking at the physicality of anybody, but I also do, as an instructor, notice who's broken. And I may give them more attention than the clients that have been coming to me that have already broken through that. So for me, the emotional part, but I don't mean emotional as in getting happy or sad. I mean, you are emotional about your own body and how you're carrying it. What are you carrying to class with you? If you carry into class that you hurt your shoulder and now every movement is based on you having hurt your shoulder 11 years ago, I'm not saying that shoulder is not going to hurt, but you're now forgetting your core and you're forgetting that there are so many other muscles to support that shoulder that we can lean into, such as trauma. If the only thing you're carrying around with you, even when you come to class, is that you got into a fight with somebody or whatever that situation was for you, maybe it was a childhood trauma, but your entire life is based on that one trauma moment or several, Pilates is going to be more difficult for you because those are the things that I had to learn when I started my Pilates journey to set outside. I couldn't become great at anything if I was walking in carrying that big load of trauma. I don't know did I just answer you properly? It's so funny. I keep asking
Yeah.
if I answered you properly, but
There's no
I'm
right or
hoping it
wrong.
makes sense. I'm hoping when you're in a Pilates class, whether it's 12 people or you have me one-on-one, the thing I'm going to push is for you to notice what your physicality defects are. I worked with a gentleman today and his foot had issues, his hip had issues, and he started laughing and he said, no one else has ever said that, but you're right. And I said, I need you to be aware of them, but now I need you to focus on your core, giving those things strength. Because you keep thinking if you move your foot a certain way, you're going to get strength in how you moved your foot. Your foot's never going to give you strength. Your core is giving your foot strength. Same as if you lean into Pilates and the self-discovery of how strong your body actually is, some of your emotional trauma might actually go away because now your focus is on your strengths, not your weaknesses.
It's so interesting. I'm wondering, for people who might not have the guidance that you're providing, to kind of tap into this deeper level and bring more awareness and noticing, what are some things that they can do? Maybe our listeners who are like, oh, maybe I need to become more aware of my body. What are some recommendations you have to become more aware? Maybe it's something they can do outside of class or in preparation for a class.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great question, Brooke. For me, one of the things that everybody should be doing before they get to Pilates is before they walk in that room, take off your Apple Watch and put it in the locker or leave it in your car. That would be my number one. I do
Ooh,
not,
why is that?
I, the number of people, and this is actually funny, Brooke, years ago when the Apple Watch first came out, this is true in one of the first studios I ever taught at, I told them they couldn't come into class with an Apple Watch. And then I was told by one of the managers that was at a studio, she's like, you can't tell them to take their watches off. So I stopped doing it. But it was very frustrating. You just paid to be with somebody for 50 minutes, and yet you're being interrupted by your Instagram posts or your emails every 7 seconds that you keep tapping your wrist. It's impossible. And people in my classes can tell you, if you're checking your watch or stopping, you will get no attention from me. Why would I invest my time in that 50 minutes on a person that hasn't invested in themselves for 50 minutes that they paid to be there, by the way? So if you're coming into my classes and you're tapping your watch and checking your phone, I don't really care if you're doing it, but you will know real quick, I'm not going to give you any attention. I'm going to make sure you don't get hurt. But that would be when you come to go to a Pilates class, you have to make a decision. Are you using Pilates as a way to enhance your life in any way? Or are you looking for a form of exercise? If you're looking for a form of exercise, great, but you're never going to see the transformation that Pilates can give you emotionally, physically, and in my opinion, even a little spiritually. You get to reach into a depth, a sense of that you won't find in any other. Yoga is the only thing that you can compare it to, which is why everybody thinks yoga and Pilates is the same thing. But in yoga, it's a different breathing technique. It's different stretching. In Pilates, we're here as instructors to give you strength through your core so that you live your life completely. That doesn't just mean in that one moment. It means forever. Everything Joseph Pilates taught was to teach people how to use their bodies properly to gain strength from it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You're being able to really be there and present for yourself. That is really the only way you're going to be able to tap into that emotional, spiritual, mental side of things. You can go through the motions of something and then still be checking your phone or your Apple Watch or whatnot. But if you are removing that or putting it on silent or whatever, even if you probably have it on, you're still looking at your watch occasionally, right? Out of habit. I love that.
Be present. That's the only be
Mhm.
present.
Yes. Yes. And you're taking that time out for yourself, truly be there for yourself.
Right. And Stacie, can we get paid no matter what? So thank you. Having said that, if you want to come to actually feel it, number one, pay attention. Number two, which that's a whole nother podcast we could talk about, but being in that moment for yourself, it's the greatest gift that you could give yourself. And the transformations that I've seen people go through because they were actually present would blow people's minds. I've had women burst into tears. I couldn't countless. I've had mothers bring daughters. I've had wives bring husbands. I've had husbands bring wives. Like, you name it. I've seen the most beautiful things, but from the people that are present.
Yeah, it's such an important point. I've always described Pilates as a mindful form of movement. I have a background in teaching mindfulness and
Yeah.
psychology too. And I feel like what we do is, and the way you teach it, Tawnya, is so beautiful. And the way you've been describing it, I really appreciate just reminding people of where is your focus, where your attention goes, your energy flows, right? So
Right.
where are you putting your attention and your energy? And just reminding people. I I love the leave the Apple Watches at the door because and they're going to get what they put into it. Just such important reminders.
Well, especially for your podcast, right? Transforming and thriving. So how many of your listeners are out there going through this process, but where is the mindfulness of being in the moment, no matter where that is? I think anybody listening to your podcast, if they've never gone to a really good Pilates class, they should, so that they understand what it is we're talking about and how transforming it can be for whatever journey they're on. Because I don't know of anyone in my classes, maybe when I was teaching early on, but I ask often, I do check-ins. Has anybody left a class where they didn't feel better than when they came in?
Mm.
No, that's how it should always be, as where I can tell you, which I'm not against it. I think it's wonderful. If you're in your weight training, in your cycle class, all of that. Stacie can vouch for me. I've left a couple spin classes where I was like ready to start throwing up and I was laying on a bench and I thought I was going to die. So we've all had those workouts. That is just not what Pilates is. Pilates is about feeling the movements from the inside out and setting everything else outside. I mean, you just worded it so it's strength with movement in the body. It's very, very different.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone wants to experience a good Pilates class, they just need to come to yours.
Oh, I wish I lived closer.
It's a long haul for Brooke.
Yeah, maybe one day when I'm not living in Japan.
Or you can do a streaming one, Tawnya. That's not the same
Yeah,
though.
I know. Well, hopefully we're in the works to try to figure out because the list for those moments is growing and I have to figure out a way to there are so many people that hear about how I teach and I get texts. It sounds crazy, but I get texts all the time about, I wish I could come and take a class. Will you record you teaching? Me teaching instructors is one thing. Me teaching my clients is completely different. It's very personal and passionate.
Yeah. Well, you're just that amazing at what you do. You have a gift.
Well, I
It's
think
not
that
enough for you to go around.
you have you have a gift as well. I think maybe because of so much of the trauma that I went through in my earlier years, there's a lot to pack in there. So to be in a place where you are mindful of your movements and that's it, and you get to see the beauty at which your body can move and the strength and grace. Maybe there's some power in that helps people go through their transformation or their personal transformation. At least that's probably the best way. And that was just off the cuff. It's probably the best way for me to explain how I teach Pilates. If I can give you a little bit of strength physically that gives you just enough strength emotionally to give you what you need during your transformation, then that's what I want to give you for 50 minutes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. We're so appreciative of you coming back and sharing your knowledge and experiences and insights on transformation, through Pilates. We really enjoyed you being here. I wanted to remind everybody of where to find you on Instagram at Pilates Tawnya. Tawnya is spelled Tawnya.
Awesome. I will put all of that in the show notes as well. So if anyone wants to read the episode description show notes, all that information will be in there as well. And yeah, thanks again.
Well, hopefully I hope that this encourages some people, men and women. I shockingly have just as many men as I do women, which is kind of unheard of. It's beautiful. I hope that people, if they haven't gone and tried it, go. And don't go just once. You know, and I both know you have to go to a minimum of 4 classes because you really have no idea what's happening until class 4. But I hope that y'all go and try and figure it out. It's a beautiful way to move your body and get familiar with it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for coming back. This was awesome. And maybe we'll have you back again.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tawnya. To all of our listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of Transforming and Thriving. We'll be back with more inspiring stories on the first Monday of each month. Please follow us on your favorite podcast app and follow us on Instagram so you can be a part of this community and stay up to date with each episode. Please feel free to leave a review so that we can get your valuable feedback and other people can find these powerful stories. Check out our website as well at transformingandthriving.com. We're all in this crazy life together, so let's move through it together. See you there.